If you want to be really smart, some people might tell you that you need to go to school for 12 years, then college for 4 years, and even more school after that. But sometimes, even after all that, finding a job can be hard. It's kind of funny, but not really, that you might be great at writing in English, but still have trouble getting a job. The cool thing is, getting smart isn't as hard as it seems. Even if you think you're not born smart, compared to animals, humans are on another level. So this got me thinking, when we say we want to get smarter, it means we want to learn things that can help us make money, or be able to solve problems, or even learn hard subjects to show off a bit. We also want to be able to talk smartly so people respect us, but not so much that they think we're just bookworms. The problem is, a lot of advice online is too general and hard to follow unless you're someone super wise like Einstein or Plato. When you look for real tips you can use, you might find suggestions like eating blueberries, drinking black coffee, exercising, sleeping more, having cold showers, and meditating. These ideas are nice, but eventually you actually need to learn real stuff. Plus, there have been some really smart people in the past who barely slept and just worked all day. So, how can you really get smarter without just following those same old tips you see everywhere online? The big secret is to read. But what should you read? Well, stories and novels are great because they help you read faster and build a big vocabulary. Reading stories with lots of talking can even make you feel like you're hanging out with friends. But a lot of people like to read nonfiction because it's full of cool facts you can share in conversations, making you seem pretty smart. For example, if you read a certain book, you could start talking about history and sound like an expert. The trick is to share what you know without being annoying about it. Like when talking about how humans evolved, it's not just a straight path from chimpanzees. It's way more complicated, with lots of different kinds of early humans around at the same time, and none of them were exactly like chimpanzees. When you correct someone in a way that sounds too know-it-all, especially without showing why you were right first, people might not like it much. But if you share your thoughts in a nice and helpful way, that's much better. Imagine changing that talk about how humans came from chimpanzees. You could say, "Isn't it wild that we evolved from chimpanzees?" Then add, "However, I read something interesting. It turns out humans and chimpanzees didn't come from one another, we evolved at the same time, kind of like cousins." This way, you're sharing cool facts without making anyone feel bad. By doing this, you come across as both smart and nice, and you even seem like someone who gets outside now and then. The best part is, when you explain things without making others feel silly, they're more likely to listen and respect you. Finding books to read is super easy, and you don't have to stick to the same few books that everyone talks about. First, think about something you're curious to learn more about. Let's say you're interested in learning how to clean better. You can start by searching online for books on cleaning. You might find a book that looks really interesting. Now, by reading this book, not only can you learn cool facts to share with others, but you can also learn how to do something better, like cleaning in this case. Remember, reading can help you discover lots of new things and improve your skills. Before you start learning a new skill, there are 10 important things to keep in mind. First, if you don't practice the skill, your brain might think it's not important and forget about it. Second, you really only need to learn about 20% of the information to get good at 80% of the skill. This is part of what people call the learning curve. It shows that with a little bit of patience, you can improve a lot at first. But remember, you have to practice. For example, you won't learn how to tie a tie just by watching a video. You have to actually try tying a tie while you watch. This idea also applies to reading books. You'll only get smarter from reading if you use what you learn. So if you read about how to clean a room, try cleaning a room right after reading. It doesn't even have to be your own room. But what if you're learning something you can't practice right away? Like how to jumpstart a car, and you don't have 2 cars to practice with. You can still practice by using your imagination. Imagine you're in a situation where you need to jumpstart a car. Watch a video and pretend you're doing it. By thinking through the process, you trick your brain into thinking you've actually done it, helping you remember better. This way, you'll know what to do when the time comes, unlike someone who just tried to memorize the steps without practicing. This is how you get smarter. Use what you learn and imagine yourself using it when needed. The way school works is pretty simple. You learn something new, but it might be a long time before you actually use it. So your teacher comes up with a pretend situation where you need that information, like a test. If you answer a question wrong, you don't do well on the test. And jokingly, in some places like South Korea, it's said you could get in big trouble for cheating. But jokes aside, the test is supposed to make you try to remember what you learned. However, after the test is done, sometimes your brain thinks you don't need that info anymore, and you forget it. Some people try different ways to study better, like reviewing things over and over, studying a little bit at a time, or creating mind maps. But really, doing practice questions helps the most because it's like you're in the real situation where you need to know the answers. If you don't have any practice questions, you can make your own. Imagine that the outcome is super important, like you're hanging off a cliff, and the only way someone will save you is if you can list all the parts of a human cell. This way, you trick your brain into thinking the information is really important, so you'll remember it better. Learning stuff and making your brain think it's important is the biggest part of getting smart. That's why textbooks are amazing for learning quickly. They don't beat around the bush or get you off track. They just give you the facts and lots of questions to practice with. If you can't figure out the answers, you have to check the back of the book for help. Textbooks are more for serious learners rather than someone who just wants to have fun. They're not like watching a YouTube video about something and then forgetting it 30 minutes later.